All right, folks, it's time to be enlightened and inspired by our next ProTalk speaker. I'm very honored to bring on Mary Cravets. She is the owner of Simply Get Clients, and her talk: more clients, less effort, create more leads by strategically doing less. All right, Mary, we're excited to have you on.
All right, let's do a. Hear me? Thumbs up, please.
Great.
Awesome. Okay, great. Thank you so much for having me here today. So 10 years ago, I started my business. 8 years ago, I burned out. I was diagnosed with extreme adrenal exhaustion, and suddenly I found myself with only 4 hours a week to run my business. How did I end up in that position? Well, I was so busy doing, I didn't know what was working. I hope you heard that. I was so busy doing, I didn't know what was working. But then I was forced to do less. I had to very quickly figure out a different way to work so I didn't lose my business. And so I started with the question, what's working? What actions do I have 100% control over that'll get me consistent results and with the least amount of effort? Because I did not have time or energy to figure out the latest, greatest marketing strategy or figure out what Facebook was doing with their algorithm. Starting with the question that I recommend you write down, by the way, starting with the question, what's working? My business grew as I recovered. And then over the years, keeping that focus on what's working, I developed an entire system to create stability and consistent growth. And that's what I'm going to share with you today. Let me just, there we go. There's a gorgeous presentation. There we go. This is the system that I was talking about. This is what helped me double my business several times over. And it's the reason my clients consistently increase their income 50 to 100%. And this is what I'm going to share with you today. I'm going to walk you through a few assessments that will uncover where you will get the highest return on investment from your efforts so you can get more new business while actually doing less. So get out something to take notes on because I'm going to move very fast through the content. So I have a really good chunk of time, like 10 minutes almost, for Q&A, because every business is unique and there is no cookie cutter solution for everyone. So the Q&A will let us customize. After Q&A, I've actually held a few minutes so we have time. You have time to schedule a free consult with my strategist, and I'm giving away a prize at the end. Yes, you'll get into a drawing for a free pass to my Launch Your Six-Figure Speaking Strategy, Book Yourself Solid to Find Hot Prospects workshop. To enter the workshop, super easy. Just put your name and email address into the chat, and I'll give you one more chance at the end. So here's where we're going to dive in. We are going to start where I start all of my clients, and that is identifying what do you actually need? Good idea, right? What do you actually need? Well, if you aren't getting all the clients you want, it's generally because there's a problem in just one of 3 areas. Number 1, you don't have a comprehensive client generation plan. Without a plan, you will be busy instead of productive, and you'll just keep spinning your wheels. Number 2, there's something getting in the way of implementation. Without consistency of implementation, you'll be distracted by bright, shiny objects, and you can't create significant momentum and growth. Number 3, you need to improve lead generation. This is either building your strategy or your skills. Otherwise, you're probably dabbling in too many things and you're not going to get traction. That's it. Plan, implementation, lead generation. The most important thing for you today is to get crystal clear about which of these 3 things is your priority. And this may sound overly simplified, but I assure you this simple clarification is incredibly important, which is why I'm introducing it now and asking you to focus on getting clarity around it. Now, I want to take this out of the theoretical realm because I'm going to parallel everything you're learning with a real life client experience so you can more deeply absorb the learning. When you're not clear about what you actually need, you may feel like Georgia She is a coach who invested tons of money into programs to get new clients through very complicated technical online strategy, even though she didn't like being on social media or doing a bunch of tech. She couldn't get any momentum in her business, even though she was working a lot. She felt stuck, frustrated, not making a lot of money, and always scrambling to figure out where her next client was coming from. And the worst thing, the thing that just killed my heart, was she was losing her belief that success was even possible for her. She was almost ready to quit. So the first thing we had to figure out, like you do now, was what she actually needed. So what I'm going to walk you through right now is the same assessment I did with Georgia. So we had to evaluate the 6 essential elements of client generation and figure out what was working and what was not working in her business. And that's what you're going to do right now. So I'm going to explain each of these elements briefly. Then you're going to evaluate your business in each element on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being low and 10 being high. Got it? 1 is low, 10 is high. And what this is going to do for you is help you uncover clues and show you what you actually need in your business and what is a big fat waste of time. All right. So number 1 is your values-driven profit strategy. Is your business in line with your values? So you're building a business you love. Are you clear about your vision and goals? Do you have a pricing strategy that allows you to have both the time and income freedom you desire? On a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel you're doing on your values-driven profit strategy? Number 2 is your proactive marketing plan. Do you have a checklist of 100% controllable marketing activities and lead generation actions that you're confident will bring in new business leads consistently? Go ahead and rate yourself. The third element you need is ideal client clarity. Who's your ideal client? Do you know who they are? What their pain points are? What do they fear? What do they want more than anything? And most importantly, do you know where to find them? Where do they gather in high concentration? So thinking about your ideal clients, how clear are you about them on a scale of 1 to 10? Number 4 is your magnetic messaging. Messaging, very simply, is words. Everything from your 30-second introduction to your website, to your doc titles. Messaging is magnetic when it communicates the value of what you do quickly, so people you meet hire you faster. So rate yourself. When someone asks you, what do you do? Is your answer so magnetic that your ideal client right away says, I need you? Number 5 is sales and closing. Can you convert a prospect into a paying client? Do you confidently talk about getting paid what you're worth? Rate your ability to close the sale once someone says they're interested. And last but not least is your time management mastery. Do you get your priorities done and have a clear approach to managing your time? Rate your ability to stay in control and focused on your priorities. Now, don't add up your scores. This is not a Cosmo quiz. What you're going to do here is, if you got 1 or 2 ratings of 7 or below, then that's simply where you need to focus your efforts. That just focusing on those areas that are a little weak, that's going to hopefully move your engine forward. If, however, most of your numbers are a 7 or under, your most immediate need is an overall plan for client generation. It's time to step back and become more intentional in each of these areas, because when you're intentional about all 6 areas, that is how you get better results with less effort. That makes sense, right? Okay. So if you've rated a lot of areas 8 or higher, but you're not getting the results you want, then you need either number 2 or number 3 to get more consistent about implementation or get more strategic and skilled in your lead generation activities. Now, you may need more than one of these things. So let's go back to Georgia and look at what she needed. We determined that Georgia needed to tackle all 3 areas. So the next step was to figure out what was already working in her business and build a strategy and a predictable formula to multiply her results. So what we did next with Georgia is create her custom formula of lead generation actions. And that's what I'm going to get you started on next, because there are so many options out there to market yourself. How do you distinguish your winning combination of lead generation actions from all the noise? This is where you're going to roll up your sleeves and identify exactly which lead generation strategies will get you the best return on investment. So get excited. This is where every time I do this talk, I've done it hundreds of times. This is where the big aha is coming. Okay. I'm building it up, but it's really great. Okay. So the first thing is you've got to stop the overwhelm, because one big fat marketing trap is trying to do it all. So what we want to do is stop the overwhelm. All those ideas you have, all the things you think you should be doing, we've got to get them out onto paper and consider, are these good or not? So the first step is a marketing brainstorm. So draw 2 columns on your paper, left, right, just 2 columns, nothing fancy. And in the left-hand column, I'm actually going to be quiet for a whole minute to give you time to brainstorm and do this work now. Please don't write it down like you're going to do it later. Do it now. What I'm going to have you do is brainstorm, list all of the marketing activities you do consistently, the things you do inconsistently, the things you think you should be doing, the things you're curious about trying, the things you saw advertised on Facebook, just everything, everything, everything. It's about quantity, not quality. So brainstorm everything into that left-hand column. It's going to be our foundation for figuring out what's going to work best for you. So right now, I'm going to give you 1 minute starting now. Do your brainstorm. I'll even give you a little cheat sheet. There you go. Get about 10 seconds. And time. Okay. So this is what it might look like. Bunch of stuff, very overwhelming, thinking you have to do it all and not getting traction. So we have to take this a step further. So what's the next step? The next step is we've got to identify what works for you. You're going to further focus in on which strategies will bring you leads consistently. So in your second column, I want you to write down the names of your top 10 clients. Now, only include great clients who you love. Do not include PETA clients, the pain in the ass clients who give you that sinking feeling in your stomach or that frown line between your eyes, because what I'm going to show you, it's going to help you multiply your results. So make sure you're multiplying the right ones. So write that down. Get as many of your great clients as you can in there. And then how do you create a bridge between your strategies and getting clients you just adore and who adore you back? Simply draw a line from each client name to the strategy that brought them to your door. What this reveals is what's working. Where have I heard that before? All those strategies that have gotten you 0 clients, you can free up your time and mental space and stop worrying about them. The strategies where you see a concentration of results, this is where you want to get more strategic and focus your efforts, because these have a proven track record of success. It just makes sense, but this sense can get lost in the busyness. So the next step is you're going to take your top 2 to 5 top performing strategies and translate them into actions. This is a step that's so easy to overlook, but if you don't do it, you will stay stuck. Now, an example of how this works, if you've discovered, like Georgia did, that speaking is one of your key strategies, then the action is to make speaking inquiries. That way, you can put it on your to-do list. Then for our clients, what we do is we determine how much activity should be done by working backwards from your goal. So think about this. What is your income goal? How many clients do you need to reach that goal? Based on your closing ratio, how many prospects do you need? And then based on what I know about the lead generation activities and based on your own past experience, we determine your activity level. So your lead generation becomes a simple checklist of clearly defined action steps instead of this unending, overwhelming burden. Now, for Georgia, speaking was already working. So that's where we focused for her. And she built her skills around that lead generation tactic. But what I want to find out is I want to find out from you. What questions do you have? What did you discover? And I am going to have a good almost 10 minutes to answer questions. Now, as a reminder, before I close out my PowerPoint for a second and come on to answer questions, after this, I'm going to be doing a drawing. So this is your last chance to put your name and email in the chat to get into the prize drawing. All right, so let me stop sharing and I'm going to start looking at questions. All right, Jennifer, are you going to help me with questions? Because I don't know where they are.
Sure, I'd be happy to. And it's in the chat. If you toggle between event and stage, everybody who's watching you is putting their information in here.
So that's so easy.
At this time, I don't see any questions just yet.
Okay. Okay, so the questions I generally get are things like, okay, so let me bring it back. What I'd love to also have you put into the chat is, what was your top performing strategy? What was your top performing strategy? Just a couple ideas. I'm going to look at the chat.
They're a few seconds behind us, so
yeah, and they all want to be in the drawing.
Yeah, awesome. That's fantastic.
Well, it's good stuff. Who wouldn't? Okay, so someone wanted to know if we can get a copy of the presentation. I actually don't share my presentations, but you will get a recording of this, I believe, for being a participant. So in that way, you kind of get a copy. All right, let's see. Valerie Martinez, oh, gold star for you. Top performing strategy is referrals. So I was hoping this was going to come up because the very next question that always comes up when people are when referrals is their top strategy, it's like, okay, but referrals just happen. It doesn't, it's not treated like a controllable, repeatable, duplicatable strategy. So that step I was talking about, where you take the top performing action and then translate it to a strategy, this is where referrals either come together as a really strong strategy or it completely falls apart. So the short answer is decide on actions you're going to take, and the actions you take have to do with nurturing your referral partners, the people who refer to you or are in a position to refer to you. Now, pro tip here, generating referrals is not done by joining, by putting a signature line that says, I love referrals, or calling your clients once a year and asking for referrals. It is something that you do consistently so that people are trained to keep their eye out for you. So when referrals are your top performing strategy, write down, I am going to send cards once a month to my top 20 clients asking for referrals. I'm going to do a site visit. I'm going to call. Whatever it is that you do, it has to be proactive. It's all about proactive. All right, I see some other things coming in. So Jennifer, can you tell me if there's another question? Or
sure can. Let's see here.
All right, let's see.
Victor is saying his top is calling, but making sure he's calling the right potential partners.
Okay, great. Referrals and networking. I'm reading through these too. Doing presentations. Yeah, if you want to know, for service-based businesses, the top 2 ways that they get clients is number 1 is referrals. So you have to have a proactive, structured strategy around that. And number 2 is speaking and presenting. It's one of the reasons why I'm doing this workshop in a couple of weeks, is because all the boundaries and barriers have come down. If you could only speak in your local area, now it's just blasted the doors off of that. And positioning yourself as an expert and offering value so you can attract clients is huge. Okay, let's see. So Valerie is saying, after meeting with a client, satisfy with your work, ask them for referral, and being proactive and staying in communication and sharing something of value with them. Absolutely. One of the things that gets in the way of asking for referrals for a lot of people is it feels so awkward. It feels so awkward. So finding ways that are very personal and personable to connect with people, and then making sure that when you receive referrals, thank people. One time I referred 2 people to a web designer who charged a lot of money for his work. I referred 2 or 3 people, and he never even emailed me to thank me or let me know how it was going. So I stopped referring to him because I didn't even know if my referrals were being taken care of. So thank people. All right. Ooh, Stephanie has a question. So if networking is your main strategy and then COVID hits, what do you do when live events end for a while? Well, right now, there's actually a ton of networking. And a lot of it is not going to get you introductions to people. It's not going to give you new connections or let you nurture them, because it will be like everybody gets thrown into a big room and then you get a 20-second introduction. And so what my recommendation is, networking is different. It's not going to be in person right now. So instead of finding a new strategy, translate your actions for the strategy so that they're appropriate to now. So keep your eye out look for speed networking events. And then take your networking into your own hands. Make 15-minute coffee appointments. I do a referral generation process where I'm gathering and doing brainstorming for short sessions with a handful of people who are also looking to generate referrals. So still do networking. That's what's working. Just do it in the new environment. Look for things that are speed networking. And if you can work across the nation or in different areas, then the world is your oyster. You have lots of opportunities. Yeah. Okay, I can take another question. Let's see, Dina, referrals were not successful for me until I created a niche, and sharing it gave me referral sources and an easy story to tell. And I started getting great referrals. So Dina, that is such a great point, because the thing is if you say, hi, I'm a coach, I'd love to get your referrals. That's not going to do the job. You can create a niche. That's one thing you can do. The other thing is to make sure that you are clear about your ideal client. And that doesn't always mean creating a niche. That does not always mean creating a niche. For instance, like when people say, well, what are you looking for? I say, well, I'm looking to work with those coaches and service-based businesses that just are out there giving service in the world, and they love what they do, but don't love client generation. They actually don't believe that it could be simpler or easier. I said, those are my people. Those are the ones I can help. See, it's not so much about creating a niche, although I do work mostly with coaches, but it's about being able to describe your ideal client from the reference point of an outsider who might see them. That's really important. That's super important. Getting referrals is based upon your ability to describe your ideal client from the perspective of someone observing from the outside. That was worth the whole, I don't know, what did they pay for this, $100? That's important. Okay. Let's see, any other questions? Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I've got a little bit of a wrap up. We're gonna get into action. And I'm going to make sure we stay connected, and I'm going to do my drawing, and it's going to all be completely awesome. So let me go back to my screen share. Ooh, and I can just do the application window now too. Yay. All right, so we did Q&A. We did awesome. All right, anybody wondering what happened to Georgia? Poor Georgia, she's just out there in the wind. All right, so what happened for her is we tackled all 3 areas with my signature accelerator program. She built a plan, built her lead generation strategy of speaking, and most importantly, she didn't just go off on her own to figure out all the details. She got implementation support, she stayed on track, and worked out all the customized details. So that, the implementation is so important. Otherwise, your plan and your strategies, they just collect dust on the shelf. So here's what happened for her. She was able to fill her speaking calendar. She got dozens of leads from speaking, was able to enroll clients with confidence and ease, something she'd never been able to do before. So now we are getting to work on scaling strategies. Yay! That's awesome. All right, so yay, Georgia. That's all well and good. But what about you? What's next for you? What do you need to do in order to pull together your plan, improve your implementation, and master lead generation strategies so you create more income and lasting impact? So at this point, you're going to want to identify two important things, which I don't have a slide for. I'm just going to tell you, okay? So two important things. Number one, what is one bite-sized action you can take? Something you realize today really needs your attention. I want you to write it down right now. Put it on your calendar, because the only way this time we've spent together can have true impact and transformation on your business is if you implement. Fair enough? What is a bite-sized action? Write it down, put it in your calendar, commit to it. But what's the challenge with making changes? Well, you're a busy person. You're fired up. How do you keep this level of focus and inspiration week after week so you start seeing different results? And so that brings me to the second thing, and that is, what is your support system? And this is important. When thinking about what you want in your need in your business, who do you have in your corner who has accomplished what you want to accomplish and is available to help you when you need it most? Because some of you may have the support you need, but for those of you who don't, I do invite you to consider working with me. This is what I do. Now, this isn't for everyone, but if you want to significantly grow your business without working nights and weekends, then the next step is to get clear about what it's actually going to take to make that happen. To get clarity and explore the possibility of working together further, I invite you to schedule a breakthrough call. This is the perfect next step for you if you feel like you've been stuck and spinning your wheels trying to get to the next level. We've all been there. But in this appointment, you get one-on-one time with Jane. She's my top strategist who will help you get clear on your biggest challenges and what you need to do to solve them so you can get the results you want. She is a master at helping you get clarity to see if my accelerator or another program would be a good fit for you right now. And she'll be honest with you. She'll be straight up. If they aren't a fit, wouldn't be the best thing for you, because it is not for everyone. Now, these calls are complimentary, but they are limited in number because we are at full capacity for the next 2 weeks. But the good news around that is the reason we're at full capacity is because I walk my talk. I use the exact client generation strategies I teach my clients. So these appointments are intended for you only if you're actively looking to invest in support and solutions in order to get results faster. And my approach resonates with you. So to get on the calendar, simply go to breakthroughcall.biz and pick a time. Now, if you're jotting down the website and thinking about scheduling later, I'm actually going to give you an incentive to schedule now so all this motivation and good intention doesn't get lost in the shuffle. When you book in the next 30 minutes, you'll receive a gift, a digital copy of my complete book of strategy. It's an ebook of strategy and encouragement for the impact-driven entrepreneur, and it will keep you motivated on the days that things get tough. Now, if you'd like us to try to accommodate an earlier appointment or have a question, you can just send an email to connect@simplygetclients.com. Which brings us to woohoo, prize drawing time. Yes, it is time. So I am going to go to the chat and I'm going to randomly scroll through. Ooh, and in case this asterisk over here is freaking you out, I do want to let you know everyone's a winner. Everyone will receive the first chapter of my book and free resources. So it's not, you're not getting signed up for a timeshare or anything. Okay, so let's see. I'm scrolling. Oh, no, wait, I have to do, yes, I'm on the stage. So now I'm scrolling through and I am randomly picking, I'm not looking. Dina Crane. Woohoo! You are our winner. So Dina, if you would please send an email to connect@simplygetclients.com, then you will get a free pass. And am I done? Awesome. Then back to you, Jeffrey. I'm going to stop the share.
You know, Mary, I really appreciate your insights. What really, I think, resonated with me, because I always talk about authenticity. And what you said earlier in your presentation, that your business should be integrated of your core values into
Yes.
into the essence of what your business is all about. You know, and I've studied philosophy, and the great sages, the great philosophers always talk about know your nature and integrate your nature into your life. That's essentially what you say. And it's difficult to do because, frankly, we're in a very politically correct society. But if we can own who we are and integrate that into our business, we become authentic. I really like what you said. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me here, and enjoy the rest of the whole event.
Thank you, Mary. We really appreciate it.